Regular season and playoffs, the most in the NBA since he entered the league. Jalen Brunson, he spoke on Tatum's injury this morning. Here's what he had to say.
The league needs Jayson Tatum. What he's been able to do in his career has been remarkable, and so he still has a long way to go in his career. I mean, he still has a lot to do in his career, meaning he has a lot of time left to make an impact and make a name for his legacy. And what he's done is special. So when you see a player like that go down, it's not good for the game.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that sentiment. It's not good for the game. But thankfully, we got a little bit of good news from Jayson Tatum this morning. He posted this on Instagram saying, thankful for all the love and support. So it looks like he's come through that surgery just fine. But this news, Brian Windhorst, is devastating for so many reasons. You were in Boston. Can you just take us inside the mood of this team and give us a sense of what you're hearing and seeing coming from this group?
Obviously, the entire Celtics fan base and team is deflated by this, but I think the focus has been that the series is not over. Even if Jayson Tatum was healthy and playing tonight, the Celtics would have the same problem, and that problem has been the fourth quarter. So they're going to focus on what they can control. And Malika, they just got to clean it up if they've got any hope of turning it around. They're shooting 29% in the fourth quarter so far this series. They've been outscored by over 30 points, just 20%, 23% on three-pointers. It's just no way to live in the playoffs. And so while they may have to redistribute the effort that they're used to getting from Tatum, it doesn't matter if they don't clean up that fourth quarter. Otherwise, their season will be over.
It's not just the Boston Celtics that know that the series is marching on, Brian. The New York Knicks know it as well. Here's Brunson on the task at hand.
It doesn't impact how we prepare. We have to have the same mentality, same focus. They're still the defending champions. They still have a championship pedigree. They still have a lot of weapons that are dangerous. So it can't be a difference of how we approach it.
Joining us now, a pair of NBA champs, Kendrick Perkins, Danny Green. Perk, I'm going to start with you here. Do you think the Celtics can find a way to extend this series? And if so, how do they do it?
Hell no, this series is over. I'm not saying that they're going to lose this game tonight. I think Celtic pride kicks in. But again, the Knicks are going to close this series out, whether it's tonight or at home. But I'm looking at the first 3 minutes of this game is going to tell me everything that I need to know about the Boston Celtics and whether or not they're ready to get on that plane and go back to New York and compete in Madison Square Garden for a Game 6. I'm going to be looking at their energy. I'm going to be looking at their physicality, and I'm going to be looking at their leader and now best player on the team since Jayson Tatum is hurt. I'm going to be looking at Jaylen Brown. This is a moment for him right now to rise to the occasion to show the world why when we mention Luka, Jayson Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Donovan Mitchell, we need to mention his name. He was, pissed off this offseason for not being part of the Olympic team, and now this is one opportunity for Jaylen Brown to put this team on his back and not only get Game 5, but actually try to go and get this series being down 3-1. It'll speak volumes of who he is as a player, and he's able to shine. The stage is set. Is he ready to dance tonight?
I mean, I'm with Perk. I think it starts with Jaylen, but the others have to step up. I think this series is over, but they do have an opportunity to stretch it. They can win tonight and beat them in Boston, but it's going to take a lot of the others. They're going to have a flurry of threes and make those threes. Drew Holiday, Porzingis, they need a lot more from them guys. Derek White was great in the last game. He has to continue that. Peyton Pritchard, they're going to need all those guys clicking on all cylinders for them to have a chance. And like Perk said, Jaylen Brown has to be the leader of this team. He has to show that he's the longest tenured vet there and show them. And Joe Mazzulla has a big opportunity here too to keep that locker room and give them hope and encouragement. It's a lot of onus on him. Everybody talks about the players, but the coach has a lot of pressure on him to make sure that this group is ready and willing to go and play in this game and try to stretch the series.
You have to imagine that this is going to be as an emotionally charged of a game as it gets for the Boston Celtics, trying to rally for your star player who can't be out there on the floor. But, Brian, you were telling everyone, hold your horses, easy. Don't write off the Celtics just yet. Why is that?
Yeah, I feel like I got to tell that to Perk. And you know who I don't have to tell that to? The Knicks locker room, because that is the message that has been emanating out of there. While the Knicks have not quite been to this level before, a lot of their players have been. OG Anunoby has a ring. We've seen Karl Towns just a year ago. He was ahead 2-0 in a playoff series, thought they were in great shape, let the other team, which was the Denver Nuggets, the defending champs, just like the Celtics, back into the series. So Jalen Brunson, who's won titles at all levels, is always looking to maintain composure and to not get in front of themselves. So I think that the Knicks have been trying to cool everybody else down, including folks like you, Perk, who want to say it's over, because they know that winning here is going to be hard. They have won 5 straight road games in this playoffs, which is an amazing accomplishment, but all of them have been by 3 points or less. The 2 games here in games 1 and game 2 were decided by a total of 4 points. So I know that it looks bleak for the defending champs. I know that Tatum is obviously in a hospital bed and not here playing tonight in the elimination game, but there is still an appropriate fear, I think, would be the NBA term for this one.
Well, Wendy, while the Knicks are trying to cool me down, they're still trying to make you into a believer, because it seems like that you're a non-believer in these New York Knicks. And sometimes you have to win ugly games, and the Knicks have been finding ways to win games. The key in the playoffs is advancing. Winning games, advancing in the postseason. The Knicks have done that. Now, we could blame it on the Celtics' woes in the fourth quarter, whatever it may be, but let's give the praise to the Knicks for their fourth quarter performance and elevating their games. And especially, we know what Big Body Brunson is going to do, but Mikal Bridges and what he's done. Again, I'm not saying the Knicks is going to close this out tonight in Boston. I think that crowd is going to be fired up. Think those guys are going to be ready to play. Celtic pride is going to kick in, but this series is not going past 6 games. And I'm willing to make a bet with you on that.
Oh, well, that's going to be something that y'all can decide maybe in the next commercial break. But it does feel like the Knicks. He says, text me. All right, well, Brian, we'll make sure I want to be on that group text if I could. I would just love to know what's being said there. It does feel like the Knicks, they played a near-perfect game here in Game 4. Jalen Brunson had a Jalen Brunson game. OG Anunoby, we talked about how he needed to have more than 5 and 2 points like he had the previous 2 games in order to really bring this team along. And Mikal Bridges came up so big for them in the fourth quarter. They need to replicate that sort of game again on the road to close this out. But no matter what happens in this game or in this series, Boston was already facing some tough questions about this roster. Those questions have only been exacerbated by this Tatum injury. So let's bring in our front office insider, Bobby Marks. He's in Chicago covering the Combine. But Bobby, what does this injury mean when you look at Boston's future here, whether that starts tonight or whether that starts in a couple of days?
Well, you hit it right on the head, Malika. They were looking at potential changes to this roster if they did not win an NBA championship here. And I think when you're looking at it, here are the 3 different scenarios Boston could be faced with. Certainly the first one, which is basically running back this roster here. Remember, it's going to cost $500 million to bring this team back. Every $3 million you spend, it costs you $25 million. The second option is certainly the cost-cutting option. When you're looking at players like Kristaps Porzingis, who's going to be on an expiring contract, potentially players like Drew Holiday and Sam Hauser, that's the cost-cutting option to get under that second apron. And then the third one, this is the most drastic one. This is the reset option here. When you're looking at keeping an eye to 2026-27, when Jayson Tatum is a full go and you are building that roster around Tatum and Derek White. And what does that mean? Would you potentially look at possibly moving a player like Jaylen Brown in the offseason, picking up draft assets, basically, I don't want to say punting away next season, but looking at the 2026 draft and then refocus basically 2 years from now.
Again, whenever their offseason begins, these were already the questions that the Boston Celtics were facing. Those have only been heightened in the wake of Jayson Tatum's injury. Bobby, we really appreciate you stopping by. I was trying to figure out, I was messaging with Danny as you were talking. I said, does Bobby, he looks great. Did he get a haircut or something?
Different about him.
It's the glasses. It's the fresh face. Bobby, we appreciate you.
I want to look myself 10 years younger.
Bobby, you have achieved that and more, Mr. Marks. We appreciate your money moves. All right, coming up here on NBA Today, the Pacers headed back to the conference finals, but will they continue to be overlooked when they get there? Ooh, doubt them at your own risk. And SGA in the